So we are here to have a conversation with the Amber Alexis. I remember when we were thinking about health sciences, one of the main things that we really wanted to touch on was nutrition. So Ken and I were looking around for somebody that had both the qualification, had the experience, and we were like, what is going on here? Yes, we know a lot of people, but we really wanted somebody who was passionate within this field. So he went up on Instagram, saw the Cultural Dietitian, and here we came across Amber Alexis' page. And Amber is a public health nutritionist. She is also a cultural dietitian, and she really helps the Caribbean diaspora to understand more about how we can take the meals that we have to ensure that we can now be nutritional about everything that we do. So we have Amber here with us. Welcome, Amber.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Welcome.
Thanks for finding my Instagram page.
Yeah, no problem,
Yes.
no problem. I think that, I always wanted to find out more about healthy eating. Why did I put a TH there? Yeah, I always wanted to find out more about healthy eating. And I'm really eager to hear more about how we, especially at this time, when health is so important as our first line of defense for the diseases that are around. I'm real excited to find out, how that works, and then how someone who wants to get into that professionally does it. Because all I know is, when my gym trainer send me a little meal plan.
And that you just have to follow that, and that's it.
But I don't really know. Sometimes, you see, that's the thing. I don't really know. I don't know if you just Google it. I don't know, I just don't know. Not down to my trainer, hey, thanks a lot for the training. But, and that's not showing us. So I'm really happy to be here. And I can't wait to hear. Now, Kersha, she sent me a bio earlier today, but I didn't read it. So I'm coming in here fresh, I actually just don't know.
Okay, so you're just about to learn.
Yeah, which actually makes it more exciting for me.
Okay.
Because now it's I'm all the questions going to be full 100 genuine. I'm really going to be really? Cool. So welcome to Conversation Inc.
Thank you.
And so Kersha,
all right.
What are we going to ask first?
So I want to find out from Amber. Amber, why nutrition? There are so many different career paths that one can take where health and wellness is concerned, but you are so passionate and directed within this area. So where did it start? Or why are you here at this point in time? Talk to me.
Okay, absolutely. So thanks for asking. It started when I was 4 years old, as any other story starts. But truly, I always thought I'd become a medical doctor. My family was sure that I may become a vet as well, because I was always interested in health and sciences, not necessarily nutrition. I had an interest in food. One, I love to eat. I was always athletic, so those two go hand in hand. But then at that young age, my mom she suffered a stroke, and I became really interested in okay, so how can I help her? What is that going to look like? I knew that I wasn't the biggest fan of medication. I mean, everything has its time and place, but it's not necessarily something that I wanted to just, sort of plaster on certain circumstances. Right. So I became interested in it. Even fast forward several years, I got into UE to do biology and agribusiness. I was like, I don't know if I'm so much into this agribusiness. No offense, Alpha. Into this agribusiness. And then I saw this nutrition course. I was like, nutrition? This is fascinating. I think when I saw it and I was introduced to the course, I was like, this is what I've been feeling all of this time, but I just couldn't explain exactly what it was. And that was the awakening for me, getting into nutrition, learning more about it. I did the nutritional sciences major at UE, as well as the sports nutrition certificate or minor. Okay. Somehow I fit it in there between two majors somehow.
Wow.
But it was something that I was really fascinated by. At that time, I was also a national athlete, so it was sports nutrition and being an athlete and using myself as a guinea pig to get into nutrition. So I was always fascinated. The ultimate fascination for me is wanting to use food as medicine when appropriate, in the sense that how do I use food to help somebody heal or improve the quality of their life.
Right.
So that's the underlying interest or passion for me when it comes to nutrition. I eventually moved on to USC because at the time at UVM, wasn't too sold on becoming a dietitian. I was like, oh, I could be a nutritionist. Did not know the difference between a dietitian and a nutritionist at the time.
Wow. So you're going to hear that difference today.
We're going to hear that difference today.
Great.
For anyone, depending on what it is you want to do, how deep you need to get into it, there's a difference. And I went to USC, pursued the Bachelor of Science in Nutrition and Dietetics, and then traveled the Caribbean a little bit, practicing nutrition. Went to the US, Johns Hopkins, completed my studies there, and became a dietitian. Yeah, so I can get into the nitty-gritty of exactly how you become a dietitian, whether it's in the Caribbean or abroad.
Okay.
Definitely.
But nutrition, that first introduction at UE really lit things up for me.
So real quick, can I just ask, like, to put everything that we are going to talk about in context, what are the differences between a nutritionist and a dietitian?
Yes. So a dietitian is someone who would have done a bachelor degree and then a post-diploma in like an internship.
Okay.
Right? And that's usually about 9 months where you get additional training. It's at least 1,200 hours, contact hours for food service, clinical and community nutrition, and being able to really learn how to manage. The key difference is learning medical nutrition therapy and how do you help someone with a chronic condition or any medical condition incorporate nutrition as part of their treatment plan, compared to someone who's a nutritionist by legal or state or national standards would be someone who's pursued like a master's in nutritional sciences or community nutrition or public health nutrition.
Okay.
And they are trained to deal with persons at the population level. So a dietitian takes it down to the individual level and the nutritionist takes it at the population level.
Wow.
So that's a major distinction there.
Yeah, like the more you know, the more you know.
Yes.
So just building on that, right? So is there like a body that certifies both dietitians and nutritionists in Trinidad and Tobago?
Yes, so there's the Nutritionists and Dietitians Board of Trinidad and Tobago.
Oh, so okay.
So you can be, so we do have persons who are registered dietitians, persons who are registered nutritionists, and persons who are registered dietitian nutritionists, depending.
Okay.
So I'm a registered dietitian nutritionist, I'm a dietitian, and I also have a master's in public health nutrition, so
Gotcha.
overlap both.
So just from the academic perspective, is it that students can do the bachelor's and then go and be certified, or that only happens at the master's level?
Oh, no. So you can absolutely do the bachelor and then go straight into doing the diploma or internship, which is done at UE. For me, I wanted the international experience, so I pushed to leave. And I signed up I enrolled in a combined master. So it was a master program with the internship. Okay. So that's another option for someone who possibly is maybe changing careers and you want to do a master's. You can do certain programs abroad, allow you to do the master's and internship together.
Mm-hmm. And I like that because then you could like apply what you're learning in your internship one time.
One time, yeah. So the first year was a master's and the second year would be the internship.
Okay.
It was good.
I like the fact that you spoke about, using food as medicine and not so much just eating food because I like it. Usually when we eat food, it's like, oh, that curry look real good, so I eat the whole plate.
Yes.
How then, as a dietitian, what is the process in terms of helping someone understand the difference between food as medicine as opposed to just eating food because that's what your eye too long? Your eye is too long.
The seafood diet.
Yes.
So for me, my approach is a little different. So it is evidence-based, but I really focus on persons who are tired of yo-yo dieting, want to be able to liberate themselves with food and food knowledge and their relationship with food. So I do help you understand the science behind food, the purpose of macronutrients, micronutrients, how it's going to support your particular health condition, but then also understanding how do you use concepts like mindful eating to incorporate that as part of your health treatment plan or health goal.
Gotcha. Quick question on what you said. So a yo-yo diet is like when you go on like P90X and then, I know you probably don't want to call any names, but sorry, I'm the name caller here in this group. I know you're allowed to be conservative, not me, right?
Okay.
So like P90X and you go on it for like, 90 days and, you're in this like big diet and then you lose the weight and then you gain it again because you stop doing it and then so that's yo-yo dieting.
Yeah, so we think about fad diets. So fad diets are those diets that promise you rapid weight loss. It's a 3 week or 1 month or very short period of time for this immense result outcome that they're expecting you to have.
Right.
We call those fad diets.
Okay.
And yo-yo dieting is where you're on and off because you did it, you saw results, it worked, but then you fell off and now you have to get back on it. So that's the concept of dieting.
Okay.
So we're moving
fat
away.
As in F-A-T?
F-A-D.
F-A-D?
Yeah. Fad.
Right.
Yes.
Okay. Like it's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Like it's supposed to be a cool thing, but
Yeah.
Not really.
So my focus is really more on building lifestyle habits, something that you can sustain and not just do it for the next 90 days or the next 3 weeks or depending on the,
Gotcha.
program that you're into.
On board.
And how do you, use this knowledge? Because I'm not just teaching you, well, do this and don't do that, but this is why you're doing it. So when we talk about the food as medicine and getting person to understand, this is why you need to make a certain decision, but you also have flexibility to, look at the curry because it's looking good, but understand like, okay, what is the impact that it's going to have on my health and what is the decision that I'm going to make around how much, how often, substitutions and these things. So it's like having a knowledge base and not simply being told just what to do or not to do, because you find that doesn't work. Like people need to be involved in the decisions for it to really have an impact on them.
Yeah. I couldn't agree with you more. One of my major struggles has always been, two things. One, friends kind of like pushing on whatever they're doing on me. I always felt like I'm not you,
Yeah.
That's one. And then two, I've always felt like, I want to be healthy, but then I also don't want to do things for a certain time. So I found myself like, I just like decide, okay, I'm going to eat bran because they say bran is more healthy.
Right.
And I'm not going to eat Frosted Flakes. And then like there was this one time I was like, I'm going to give up bread because I'm not doing bread. And then, I think a lot of people, when they get older, they realize they're lactose intolerant or become lactose intolerant. So I was like, no more milk. I want milk. Yeah, and those are just things because of that same thing,
Yes.
Because I just as a person wanted to like affect my life, like do have a better lifestyle, but there was no like guidance, just what I heard.
Yeah, and I can relate to that. So we'll meet several persons who'll be like, okay, so I was told don't eat bread, don't do this, don't do that. Most times they don't know why or understand if it's really having an impact, if it's going to be appropriate for their needs. And then, following along with the trends of what's the latest diet and sort of following your community or that peer pressure to do something.
Google.
Or Google, Dr. Google, or dietitian Google.
Because right now milk is not cool, milk not cool again. Yeah.
But it's coming back, So there are a lot of studies coming out by the Dairy Association of various spaces showing that, it's not as inflammatory as some people think.
Okay.
And then when you think of dairy being not just milk, but we do have things like yogurt, cheese, different types of cheese and stuff. So there are still some health benefits incorporated in some versions, but we do have standard thought processes across the Caribbean with respect to certain food groups and the impact that they're going to have on your health. Another thing that I get a lot of is don't eat wrong provisions.
Serious, people say that?
For real?
I actually thought you were about to say people say don't eat meat, because I know like right now there's a whole like anti-meat movement. Like don't kill the animals. No, it's a real serious thing.
Yes,
like,
it is.
It's like paired with alkaline water. No, like trust me, like as a male, I would go out with people, and a lot of females, I would have to be very, very conscious about like, all right, we're going out with Jane today. And Jane is a vegan, right? So, we had to get her like alkaline water. Yeah, she's drinking normal water, no sparkling water. Alkaline water, that have like a dairy product in it. It's real specific these days. But yes.
That actually, just to go on a tangent here, so that brought up a memory of when my husband and I first went out. And he said what attracted him to me was that I just ate. Like, we sat down, we had a meal, I ate the entire meal, there was no finishing, having half and then leaving it for later. It's just like, he's like, all right, there's a girl I could eat. I could roll with her.
So ladies watching this is what we fellas want. I'm here representing you fellas. So we're going to learn from this young lady and just eat. You're still going to live. Tell us more.
Yeah, eat. So being able to find pleasure in food, like that happy place of pleasure in food, but also allowing it to, benefit your health, optimize the quality of your life, not compromise your health, but understand that there's a time and place for everything. Yes.
Gotcha.
I think that is beautiful, and I want to hold on to that. I am just going to eat. I'm not going to ensure that's okay in my mind.
So, Kusha, is that you're holding on to it, or is that excuse? I'm eating
you know what? I'm not even going there.
I was on the podcast with Ken.
And the dietitian told me to eat.
Yeah. she's a dietitian, nutritionist. You are just half, right? And she said she met her husband when she just eats. So that's what I know.
So that works. If it works, that's exactly what is going to
I
happen.
don't get husband. Know your place. But I mean, we listening, Kusha, we listening.
Definitely.
Yes.
So, Amber, one of the things that you would have highlighted is quality time with your family, and you spoke
Yes.
about your husband. In terms of that relationship and partnership coming into your life, ensuring that support is being given. How was that for you?
It was impressive. I'll give him that for sure. He's a very supportive man. Even through my second degree, when I was just like, I don't need to finish. He's like, no, you need to finish it. Even though you got into your master's program, finish it. I'm like, okay, all right, fine. So I'll finish it. So he's been, very supportive through my degrees. We have a son, and he's very, very supportive. Very hands-on Black father. I give him that for sure. And then I had to wonder who was the dietitian here, because he sometimes was like, I'm not having this, or don't eat too much of that. I'm like, okay. Who's the nutritionist here? Who's the dietitian in this relationship? But he's actually been really supportive. His field is very different, so he learns a lot from me to the point now where he can teach you some stuff about nutrition, like the background, the science. So we discuss things. I would explain things to him. He'd explain things to me from his field. He's a navigation officer, so
Okay, nice.
I can talk a little bit about ships now. Maybe.
Okay.
So it helps to have that support, that supportive partnership, family support to really guide you through getting into the field. Could be challenging, especially going abroad and having the finances and scholarship and everything like that. Having person like my mom take care of my son for a couple of months while I was away, just to sort of get settled in for school.
Gotcha.
So always having that support around
system.
It's really important.
Yeah. I'm
Even
very
if
happy that
it
you were
may
able
not
to
be
get that.
family. Yeah. So I know that some persons may not have the same family unit, but maybe you get it through friends or through your church or different avenues that will create that support for you.
For real. Yeah, I concur, because I think like my support is really skewed like 90% on the side of my friends, and that doesn't mean my family doesn't support, It just means my friends support a lot.
Yeah.
Right.
A lot. So yeah, I agree with that 100%. And I always say like, you could create your family for all of those who might be looking on and saying, well, I don't have a husband yet, what's going on? And my mom not watching my child. It's possible. I always say like your vibe attracts a tribe, cliche, yeah. But still, once you be good to people and you give out like that good quote unquote energy, people would see and they would feel, and then they would be willing to like give back. And the other thing I would add is relationships are transactional. So once you do for others, they would offer. So like I always tell myself, like, think about like, all right, what are you doing for others? Nobody doing anything for you. Well, what are you doing for others?
Right.
And then if the answer is no, then nobody gonna offer to watch your child when you're doing anything. So
One of the greatest things you can offer is service. Yes. So I was really happy to be on the receiving end of it, because I'm usually one, helping.
Yeah.
So
That's good.
It was good to be on the receiving end, especially during a time like that. So I really have to appreciate my family and my in-laws for that support.
Nice. I have lots of questions. So, Kusha, go ahead. All right, cool. So I want to ask about your the programs that you study, right?
Yes.
Right. So it's 3 programs.
Yeah.
Right. So 2 are the bachelor's level, 1 master's.
Yes.
Cool. Right. And 2 were local and 1 was international.
Yes.
Okay. Right, so I'm just kind of like framing everything, because I actually have a good friend, like one of my best friends. Her name is Renicia. She was doing some, I don't know exactly, but I think it was like home ec or something like that.
Right.
And then that was in USC, and then she switched to something else. And then when I spoke to her again, she was like, I'm going UE. And I'm like, what are you doing there? And she's like, she's doing like nutrition. I'm like, but I'm confused. I wasn't doing that in USC. So like, share a bit more about like at least locally, the difference between like the USC experience and the UE experience, and like why someone should choose like one or the other. Like what is it really going on? Right.
So I always advise it's based on what it is you want to do in terms of where you want to be geographically.
Okay.
So if you intend to live in Trinidad and you're comfortable here, UE is an excellent option. So UE is the only institution right now locally that's offering the internship. So when you completed the bachelor's and you have to do that internship, that's through UE.
So UE will send you somewhere?
UE, you rotate through the local hospitals.
Okay.
Right, so you do the internship here.
Right. But it's
USC,
automatic. This is what I'm
Yeah.
asking. It's automatic. You don't have to do anything.
Oh no, so it's not automatic in the sense that you complete the bachelor, you graduate from UE,
Right.
you apply for the diploma, and there's a limited number that's intake every year. So I'm not sure what the number is.
All right, so you have to make that
So
year
you have
intake.
to apply.
Like
yes.
you're applying for a job, and then they would take you in based on being a UE student.
Yes, so
Okay.
they take you in based on having all of the criteria in terms of the coursework.
Okay.
And then I believe you undergo an interview. I haven't gone through this process personally, but I've heard about it.
Okay.
So having an interview and then being selected to enter the program.
Okay, I
Right?
understand.
So some persons may find that they would apply and not get through and have to apply the next year because it's an annual thing.
Okay, so
So
do
it's
they
not
count,
automatic.
Do they count your internship if you do it like private? Can you do it private?
No. That's
Right.
the problem.
So you have to
So it
do it
must
through
be
like the
through the
hospital.
public.
Or,
If you're doing it through UE system, I'm not sure how it has changed over the years.
but as far as you know.
Yeah, as far as I know. But definitely that's the only program that I know is actually certified to run the internship in Trinidad.
Okay.
USC's program is a little different. So they do practical, I don't want to say practical courses. So every course, like the medical nutrition therapy course, is going to have a practical component to it so that you typically would go into a hospital and be able to see patients. So when you're reading something in a book, you're also
You're
getting to
able to see
apply
it in
it
practice.
immediately.
Gotcha.
Understood.
But it's not an internship the way that UE's internship is set up.
So let
Okay.
me just ask you this.
Yes.
So for persons, so let's say we have a group of 40 students and 10 students are chosen for the internship. For the other 30 students, is it that they will not be placed if they have to go and they try to, go to a company or try to even register for public to get into the
Yeah.
public health? Does the internship that they do not get affect their
Because
their
you have to
continuing?
complete the internship to become a registered dietitian here. So outside of that, they may be able to apply for other positions. For example, I was a dietetic technician at Moncton for a few years.
Okay,
Right.
okay.
And you just need your bachelor's for that. I say just
Okay.
need, but you need your bachelor's degree for
Just.
that. But that's where we are now, right?
Yeah.
But the internship itself, if you've not completed the internship, you cannot function as a dietitian.
Right.
Yeah, so
Okay.
it will have that impact for someone who may not have gotten through with the internship initially.
Yeah, it sounds very similar to, people who are in other fields, like other fields of medicine, such as becoming a doctor or physiotherapist and so on. I know you have to wait on internship.
Yes.
I was going to ask something else about when you are in UE and you apply for your internship, what is there something comparable in USC or tell me about the USC experience?
Right. So the USC experience is more integrated than the UE experience with respect to the practical side of things. So you're going to do the bachelor and then you apply and you may or may not get into the internship.
So the bachelor is the theory and
The
then
theory
the internship.
and then the internship is the practical.
Okay,
yes.
gotcha.
So I hope I got that clear for you.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
with USC,
It's mixed.
it's combined. Yeah.
Okay.
But it doesn't count as the internship. At least not yet. And maybe they're going to be working on something soon.
Yeah,
so
we'll
that
see.
there may be two institutions facilitating it. But USC, it's a better choice if you want to go abroad because
Okay.
they do have connections to universities abroad where you can go into their internship system. So they have relationships with at least 2 universities that some of their students go abroad to.
Okay.
I just stepped outside of that.
So to ask about your story, right? So after you did your 2 bachelors, you did not do your internship. Well, you
I didn't do the
it.
internship here.
Right. So your internship would have been as part of your master's program.
Yes,
Okay, that
so I
would
did
have
the
been only
internship
one you did.
abroad. So after I did the second bachelor's, I applied. I got through with my OAS scholarship, and then I got through with Hopkins. I deferred it for 1 year because I
Okay.
had my son,
Right.
and then went abroad, completed my master's in public health, and then the second part of that would have been the internship. So I took a longer,
Route.
to get to that internship.
Yeah, now just to be clear, the reason why we're asking, both Kusha and I are asking all of these questions is because we want to understand from a perspective of someone who doesn't know.
Yes.
Because we feel like one of the main reasons why we're doing this podcast is because we, 3 of us, right? We all kind of traverse this space between work, internship. I actually had an internship as part of my program, and I had a similar experience where I went to CUSAT, not UE initially, and CUSAT is very practical.
Yes.
You know, so I got a lot of practical skills, and then I still had an internship as well.
Yes.
So I was doing journalism and PR there. So like I felt like when I was finished, I came out with like I came out ready to go. I ready to write.
Yes.
I ready to write. I ready to report. I ready to pull you out of whatever drama as a public relations specialist. So we really want people to be able to look at this and then kind of like had a little notebook there, take their notes, and then
Yes,
know
yes,
how
yes.
to like.
I understand
Yeah.
the how to. Yes. Yeah, so definitely I always say it depends on where you want to be again. So if
Gotcha.
you want to stay local, UE, and if you want to open the doors for that international experience, well then USC. And the difference there is that USC, because they are connected to the those international universities, well, in the US at least, they do provide you with certain paperwork to accommodate that process.
Okay, gotcha.
Yes.
So all right, so now we've covered you in school and then finishing school. So tell us about practice. Where can you go? You have your, let's say, your dietitian qualifications or your nutrition qualifications. I guess you could work in your hospital. I don't know, because that's where the internships are. But where else can you go and apply, and then / what can you do on your own?
So I'll take one step back to explain that.
No
right?
problem. Tell me.
During my internship and my time abroad, my eyes were opened immensely. So while I was a technician here at the hospital, we sort of had this concept of to become a dietitian, you work at the hospital, and that's sort of where you get started, and that's how things are going to go. And then maybe later you can open a private practice. And that was sort of the concept, like the streamlined concept. And then I went abroad and I found Burns dietitians who's been like specialized for 15 years.
Wow.
And kidney dietitians and persons who are just like all of these different specialties. I was like, oh, okay, so it's a little bit more.
It's not just dietitian.
not a generalist, but also someone who's specialized. But even outside of that, the different roles of dietitians outside of a hospital.
Okay.
Being in community, for example, or policy, and just like, okay, it really opened my eyes to the different things. Getting into my story is still going to be different though. I graduated in May. I sat my board exams in July, so I've been a registered dietitian in the US since July 2020.
Right, so this is the United States Board of...
United States Commission of Dietetic Registration, CDR.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So once you, let's say, study overseas, you can just go and do the exam, or do they like send you as part of the program?
You do the exam, you register on your own to do the exam.
Okay.
Because you can potentially complete the internship and not sit the exam and not become registered
in the US.
there. Yeah.
Okay, continue.
Right, so I sat the exam, became registered, and then I couldn't come home.
Oh, but this was COVID?
Because of the COVID.
Oh, this is recent. This is recent bacchanalias?
That's last
This is
year.
recent bacchanalias, okay.
Recent bacchanal. So I spent an additional 7 months in the US.
All right, just liming.
Just chilling because we couldn't come home. The borders were closed. And it didn't make sense for me to come home in March when they were initially getting everyone to come home, because I was finishing in May.
Right.
I'm like, okay, if I go home, when am I going to get to come back to do everything?
Exactly.
So I stayed and I finished, and then I had to, sit on an additional 7 months. Now, the reason why that becomes important, there is where the cultural dietitian was born.
Okay.
So I was at home. I was separated
Cross
from...
my legs there. Right.
I was physically separated from everyone. So my son and I were there. My husband came back home to work. He was due to come back in April. Never happened.
Yeah, of course, COVID.
And then I was in this apartment in Baltimore, just trying to figure out, so what's happening with my life? Am I going to apply for a job? I could have, but I did not put in the paperwork early enough. So I'm like, okay, trying to work with my sponsor to become employed.
Right.
Things were running late, of course. And I'm just like, you know what? Maybe I just started to write a blog to pass the time, keep my brain fresh. So I started my blog. It initially started off as Amber RDN.
Right.
And I was like, you know what? I want something to really embody my philosophy. And I was like, oh, balanced nutrition, balanced lifestyle. It's like so much of that out there. It's like, no, that's not me.
Yeah, everybody's
So
trying
I
to balance.
kept going. Yes, I kept going. I was like, you know what? One thing I realized, it stood out more during my internship in the US, is that culture is not something that's focused on. When you think about food and nutrition, we
Agreed.
are taught to eat one way, which is not going to be suitable to everyone, depending on where you're from.
Because when you're from Trinidad and Tobago, it's real culture is eating,
Real cultures.
Yeah.
But then even in the US, when you think about what you have access to and don't have access to, the minority populations, being a
True.
minority and then being told that you shouldn't eat, your cultural foods because they're not healthy, but then you're like, so what do I do?
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, so my passion for culture grew in that sense. It really stood out to me there. And I was like, you know what? The cultural dietitian. Who has that? Search.
Nowhere.
Nobody's okay,
I ain't
this
seen
is
nobody with
me. So it's like, this is me. It felt like it embodied me, having that culture focus throughout my entire, writing and practice and everything like that. So I became the cultural dietitian September last year, thereabout.
Nice, congrats.
And I started, thank you. And I started writing, and I was just like writing. My friends and family were supporting. They were reading the blog and sharing with their friends. And it was like, oh, this is so good. I was like, okay, cool, thank you. But it really struck home when I came back. So I returned to Trinidad in January, finally got through, moved to New York, from Baltimore to New York, spent a couple of months there, and then I was allowed to come home. So I came home in January.
Right.
And there's this company that reached out to me. Sometimes people reach out to you on Instagram. I was like, I don't know if this is legit,
Right.
but I will, I'll remain open to it and see what's happening.
I feel like that plenty. Like, what's really this?
Yeah, so it turned out to be an editor from Healthline Media
Nice.
who would have been following my blog for a while. And she's like, I really think we'd like to bring you on board to write for us. So I was like, me, a writer? Never considered that as, one of the rules as a dietitian. So it even further expanded where I saw myself. So I give it a try. I was like, you know what? Yeah, let me do this. Let me try this. And then I actually fell in love with it. So it's almost a year now that I've been writing for them. January will make it a year. So that's another, thing that persons can look into becoming a dietitian. It doesn't always have to be a clinical dietitian at a hospital. You can even work from home like I have been, writing for an international company, researching, learning so much, being able to spread that. I always check in something about Trinidad when I can.
Excellent.
Or the Caribbean.
I love it.
That's nice.
Yeah, and I mean, with all
culture.
of these like food sample sets, I'm pretty sure that you'll get some good, like things that you could slip in.
Yes. So actually, and what I really like with writing for them is they try to, expand my voice. So they allow me to choose articles that are important to me.
Okay.
Or my very first article was like, a Trinbagonian perspective
wow.
of daily living through.
That's so good. I
Right.
thought like the first thing going to be like some that day one. That's actually real.
Yeah.
Like from a
Yes.
journalist perspective, that is
Yes.
unique.
It is.
You don't usually do that.
Yes.
So that's cool.
But they did say, yeah, they're trying to diversify and they realize
gotcha.
that things were just one way.
Monotonous,
So
yeah.
they're really trying to extend and expand upon
So it
that.
means
So.
that the Caribbean voice can be heard internationally.
Yes, and it has been. And I've had several of my clients who, learned about me through my Healthline articles. So I write for Healthline Nutrition and Medical News Today.
Okay.
Yes.
Good. So when you say clients, people could just contact you. So somebody's watching this and they say, I need like, a better nutrition plan. So what happens next? They send you an email and then...
You can send me an email. They can contact me through Instagram. I do have a number as well. I'm trying to phase into, so I do all of my bookings online. So I try to streamline things through there. So it doesn't
Nice.
always work out that way.
Yeah, of course.
But you can find me at the Cultural Dietitian website or social media and submit a
So
contact.
theculturaldietitian.com.
There is.
Cool. All right. So I'm going to put it on your screen. Here.
Okay.
Cool. Yeah. Don't worry. You'll see.
Yeah, so there is a culturaldietitian.com, my social media. I saved it on YouTube, even though I haven't started videos yet, but it's there.
Cool. Link me for videos.
I think I would.
Yeah. Just bring food.
I can do that.
Malika and I, we eat. Huh? Yeah, we eat.
I can do that.
But
I can
good
do
stuff,
that.
good stuff. So someone sends you an email and then just run us through how that engagement is like.
So the engagement for me, I prefer if they fill an application. So the application form gives me insights. What I started early on, so aside from the writing, I do have private clients. And then I recently transitioned into group nutrition programs, right?
Okay.
But the application helps me to learn about that person's background, exactly what type of support that they would need, ensuring that we are a good fit. The fit comes in when I think about someone who probably still wants to pursue a particular diet versus the lifestyle that I distinguished between earlier on. That's important. It helps them to build a connection with me because most times you probably won't know much about me.
Right.
So I invite you to a call. It's a free call. You sit, whether it's phone call, video call, whichever you're most comfortable with. And I learn more about, tell me more about your medical history, what's been happening with your food, like how is it impacting your life? And then you're going to learn about my approach. You can ask me any questions that you have. I'm very open like that. You can ask me any questions that you have, any concerns. And then we take it from there, let you know, okay, so these are the services, this is how I run my program. And, we work things out from there.
From there, okay.
Yes.
I got you. So can you give us like a success story about someone who you met while you were taking private clients and like their diet improved? Like what happened? Is that like, did they lose weight? Were they dieting to lose weight? Like,
yes. So, you know what? This person came to mind and it's really funny, right? So this was an older client that I had.
Right.
And she's like, I'm really skeptical because you're young.
Sorry for asking all these details.
That's
Ola
okay.
like over 40, Ola like over 50?
She's 66.
Right, 66, cool. Gotcha.
66. And she's like, she's been researching all of these things and trying different things. And she feels like the information out there is really conflicting because one person will say, eat bread, and someone else will say, don't eat bread. Just for an example.
Right. And I'm with her 100%.
Yes.
And I am not
is.
over 60. Mm-hmm.
It is, right? She's like, so I really don't know. I need the help. But, you're so young. I'm not sure. I'm like, well, I'm trained. I'm good at what I do. And I just want to make sure that you are comfortable working with me as well. Right. Mm-hmm. And she felt comfortable. We worked together for 3 months. Okay. She lost weight, yes. We didn't diet or we didn't focus on the weight loss because we were looking at improving her blood pressure, her blood glucose, her blood sugar, and her cholesterol levels. And all of those improved at the end of our 3 months, and she lost about 8 pounds.
Okay.
As well. So even without focusing on weight loss, you can still lose weight with certain lifestyle changes. Yes. Definitely. But most important, I get excited by the numbers. So when I see your cholesterol is going down, your blood pressure is going down, she had more energy, she was exercising consistently. And I'm just like, oh, you're very inspirational because she just jumped in. Mm-hmm. So that was one. I have another client who's from Tobago. I love her daily. Wow. She's really a major inspiration.
I said wow because I just thought about all the food in Tobago. Like Tobago have something called Harvest where they just eat.
Yes.
Anyway, but let's talk about this client.
Also, an older, she's 51. So I've been attracting a lot of older clients. Right. Not the youngins so much, the more mature, settled clientele. And for her, she already, is very physically active. And she's trying to slim down a little bit, most importantly, manage her perimenopausal hot flashes and changes in lifestyle and stuff. So we've been working for 3 months as well. Because I work with clients for a minimum of 3 months.
Okay.
3 to 6 months thereabout. And
because you need time to see the changes.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I started off with the one time thing. I was like, this is not gonna work. It's not gonna be the most effective.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, same thing for PRs. I understand. Clients will come and be like, change my whole image. I can't do that in
one go.
That's not how it works.
Yeah, it takes time. It takes time. Right. And she did lose some weight. She wanted to lose 5 pounds. We lost the 5 pounds. But most important, she's like, my waist beads are falling down now. My energy, she's not having hot flashes. She's comfortable wearing clothes again. So the changes for me are not just the weight. I don't just focus. I don't market myself as a weight loss dietitian. Because it's so much more than that. You see, when your quality of life improves, when you have more energy, your sleep is better.
That's big.
That is major for me. You have better gut health. You feel better, but that is where it's at for me.
Yeah, so I agree with you a lot. Mm-hmm. I don't know if my diet is good. I guess I'll run it by you after on your menu. But I honestly feel like I have real energy all the time, I feel I have real energy.
I think that's a personality thing.
You think it's a personality thing?
I don't even think that.
No, I think it's my, here's why. I think it's my diet, right? No, because I think one of the unique things about me, all right, so a little quick story. Mm-hmm. I used to live with my grandmother for 7 years. So when I was 17 or something, I moved out of home and I used to live with my grandmother. And she would cook all the time. But then she had to eat healthy because she was ailing. Mm-hmm. So my mom started to influence us to eat as healthy as possible. So it had a time we didn't have, we cut out meat entirely. As in my granny wouldn't cook any meat. Mm-hmm. And I would buy fish and then I would have to go to the market for her and basically get all of the ingredients for her to make whatever she needs to make. So she would cook and stuff all the time. And I would just eat whatever, and then she passed. And then when she passed, I had to kind of figure out what am I going to eat. Because I have no shame. Those people who be like that, eat something different every day. I felt nah, that's not me.
Right.
So I found I just tried to find stuff that I felt was healthy, especially for breakfast. Probably for lunch, I might just buy something or whatever, or I might cook and have multiple days, and maybe for dinner as well. But like for breakfast, I would eat like oats, just for instance, every day, you know, and then I would put like fruits in it and stuff like that. And I found that when I started doing that, I felt like I had like a lot
energy level
more.
was better.
Yeah, like I could have pumped.
Energy,
I could have
yes.
pumped because it's in the morning too. So like by the time 11 o'clock, I go in and I feel like at that time I became more of a morning person. You know,
Yes.
because a lot of my friends, they would be, you know, I mean, we young, we hip, right? So we, you know, we waking up late, we go into bed 3 o'clock every day, and I just say like, nope, yeah, dog, I do it 9 in the morning, you know, 7 a.m. I up, 6 a.m. I up, we're going to hurt all your, oh, let's still sleeping, poor thing, you know. So and I
Yes.
felt like, at least personally, at least in my head, I felt like it was a result of my diet. But again, I haven't gotten it like, you know, audited or anything.
Full assessment.
But-
Don't worry, that's why Amber
But that's how I
is here.
felt. You know, I just felt like
Yes. Your experience brought up quite a few important things to mention. One, the concept of not cooking multiple pots at home. So we have persons, sometimes one person in the family may have a medical condition. And it's like, oh, well, I have to cook for them and then I have to cook for the family. Like sort of getting the family on board, because if it's going to benefit their health, it's going to even, you know, support
just
you.
roll with it. That's exactly what I thought, you know. I
Roll
was
with
like,
it.
so Granny, are you healthy? Guess how you be healthy too. Healthy
Yes.
it is.
Yes.
Don't
So
mind
that's
I still eat my
important.
chicken. They are honestly,
Well,
I'm not really getting into it, but whoever not on chicken, they're on their own. I know I need to eat chicken for my mental health, and that's important too. But yes, let's hear more.
yeah, so that's an important thing that you brought up. And then the concept of morning. The morning is so important. I don't know if you've ever woken up and exercised in the morning.
Yeah,
And
I have.
the way that it influences the rest of your day compared to
Feel
sleeping in late. Like it helps you to be energized. You feel more focused. You feel like you have more, at least for me, sorry. I feel like I have more purpose. Waking up and exercising, waking up early, sitting down to have a proper breakfast, sort of just running through that. So that morning routine becomes really important for, you know, setting up the rest of your day.
Yeah, I agree. I actually am. I'm a big fan of morning routines. So I think I need to like get back into like an exercise routine. Thing is, I'm just a very active person.
Yes.
But probably some exercise will be good. Probably
Yeah.
I could ride my bike and check Kershaw.
that
See how she goes in the morning or whatever. But yes,
But the
Kershaw.
thing is, I'm not a morning person.
You're not a morning person?
Now you had to become,
What do you do?
become one or some. What do you do? She wants to know what you do.
In terms of
In life.
Like, you're not a morning person, so how does that?
Yeah,
run
when
for
I
you?
say not a morning person, I prefer to probably stay in my bed until 7, 8 o'clock, get up and go through the day. And
Yeah.
I have energy more 7, 8 o'clock in the night. It's like, okay, let's try this exercise thing and go
Right.
with it. That 6, 7 o'clock in the morning.
I did a 5 a.m. workout this morning
Wow.
with my trainer.
I am so proud of you.
But I think
And I'll probably get there one of those days.
I just like to throw out the
Yeah.
you know the thought, and we didn't talk about it, but you are a national athlete, and a lot of my friends who like trained, was right. Who a lot of my friends who trained, you know, I think that is where a lot of their routines would have started, you know. Yeah, because growing up,
Yeah.
I would have been friends with a lot of people who would have been very athletic. And yeah, that would have been a lifestyle. They waking up early, you know,
Yes.
go and train, and then the rest of the day happening after
It's
training.
going-
Yeah,
You know?
that's a good point to
But,
make.
but
so-
tell me about, like, you know, playing for Trinidad, you know, you played in which sport? Tell us a little bit more about that.
So, are you familiar with dragon boat racing?
Yes.
Yes. So that was a sport. So
Okay,
it's
nice.
a group sport. I'm not sure if anyone out there is familiar with dragon boat racing. The easiest way to explain is like similar to rowing, except there are at least 10 or 20 people on the boat.
So a whole team.
A whole team, a full team. Yeah. But I first got into it in Form 6
Okay.
at Bishop's. I went to Bishop's Annecy High School East. Woo.
Nice, nice, nice.
And two of the teachers there, Mr. Keto and Ms. Shallow, created this team. So at the time, it was only something that was sort of in the West. And we were like the first East team to really start something at that level. And then we began competing.
Nice.
And I stayed with Dragon Boat for about 8 years
Okay,
before
okay.
I stopped to continue pursuing my further education. But that allowed me to travel, represent Trinidad and Tobago at the world champ level,
Awesome,
in
awesome.
Florida and then in Hungary, and it was amazing. But the routines,
nice.
yes, sometimes we would train twice a day,
Okay.
early in the morning, waking up 4 o'clock, depending, getting ready to train, and then training again at night. So
Right,
it
so
was really.
It became like a natural habit for you. Like
Yes.
that did not.
It stopped for a while. So when I was like 5 o'clock in the morning training, Like, all right, but I was like,
About
I used to do that. I can do it again.
You can do it again. But let me ask you this. Is there, I know you say that, if you start in the morning, you will feel as though you have a lot of energy in the night. So for persons like me who will work out like after work, that 8, 9 o'clock in the night, is there a big difference to what happens to our bodies as opposed to the night and in the morning?
Not necessarily. So what you find is that for some people, okay, for me, I'll give an example for me and then generally. When I was at UE and would do overnight for studies, like coming up to exam time, I would go and train with the track team to get energy to stay up and study. So I didn't do the energy drinks and all these things. I would just train, boost my energy levels, stay up and study, and then sleep. For some people, they actually find that working out on evenings helps to give them a better sleep.
Okay.
So it depends. You kind of have to figure out what's going to work for you and, your schedule, what that looks like, where you can realistically fit in some movement throughout the day.
Right.
Yeah, because that's an important part of health.
So from my understanding, okay, so my experience with the gym has been kind of like a horror story, I guess, because like what would happen is like I would go with my friends again, carry me all the time, and they like doing the most, and I knew, right? So they're telling me do the most too, and I'm trying to do the most, and then I like feel hurt, and I feel like I can't type, which is not making sense, right? But what I understand, and I haven't been able to achieve it yet, and I guess we could talk about it more probably now and like later on. But like if you do exercise to a certain amount, like not over push yourself, you would actually get energy because it will kind of like release the hormones and so on and so forth. So I think what happens a lot, and that happened to me personally, is I would do too much. So it's like a sweet spot. You have to do it enough where you're not dying, and then you would have the more energy. But if you do it when you're dying, then you just want to jump in your bed and like, that now.
Yes.
And then usually the next caveat, if you may, is that for the first 2 weeks when you're starting anything, you'll be dying. Right?
Yes.
Right. So you had to kind of like get over
Give
that 2 weeks of
yourself
dying, and then after that, find your sweet spot where you're still pushing yourself a little more, but then you're not like overdoing it. And again, this is what I was told. I also want to try it out. So we'll see. I guess next podcast I'll let you know how this goes.
Definitely.
So that overexertion with the training. And then you actually find that it can be problematic for some women in particular with hormones. If you have a hormonal imbalance and exercising too aggressively, too vigorously can have that. It actually releases a cortisol hormone or the stress hormone.
Oh, wow.
So it can further create, further imbalances there. So
That
it's like
makes
finding
sense.
that spot that is going to work for you.
Right. So it's like
Important.
what they say, anything of too much.
Too much or too little.
Yeah, so if a girl coming home angry from the gym,
she
you need to take it light. You need to take it light. What you doing? No problem.
Yes.
Right. So for someone that is considering this career field, thinking about, becoming a dietitian, ensuring that they are well qualified, well experienced, even though where your business is concerned, and sometimes that happens to us, opportunities are created. But what word of advice do you have for a person that is considering this career field?
I would say be passionate about it. Make sure it's this, whatever you're going to pursue, that you have a passion for it. And you're not just doing it because you think you should, but it's something that you're actually interested in. And then determining if you want to take it at the individual level or the population level again, if you need to become a nutritionist, which is a dietitian. So really become educated about the differences and determining what you want to do. So if you want to become a sports nutritionist, do you need to become a sports dietitian, depending on, the capacity that you see yourself working at. Be open to creating your own path.
Right.
That's very important, especially in the Caribbean where we are now starting to diversify certain, work environments, the opportunity to work from home now as a result of the pandemic, but even outside of that. Right. Like be open, don't be afraid to move into becoming an entrepreneur instead of, following the traditional path if that's something that you want to do. It might feel scary. There's a lot to learn. You might need the support, but it's also very exciting to create something new, to create something different, to meet people in a different capacity, meet people where they're at. So yes, there are persons who need the support at the hospitals, but we also need our dietitians in other areas and other capacities. You can look into policy, we create new areas outside of what has been traditional. So don't be afraid of it. It's one of those careers that is like, oh, can I make money as a dietitian? Yes, you can make money as a dietitian. So don't worry, you can feed your family.
Good to know.
As a dietitian. You just have to have some clarity and then allow people to meet your value. So your
Awesome.
value and you stand for it, you stand by it, and you give to others when you can, and then you just kind of expand upon it. There's room for volunteering. So even if you want to learn more, you're not sure if it's exactly what you want to do, there maybe it's a little different now with the COVID policies, but typically, if you find someone who is a dietitian, you can feel free to reach out to me. I can share from my experiences or put you onto someone else who may be doing what you would like to do. You talk to someone, so you get like a mentorship or different mentors along the way to guide you, because it can be confusing. Again, I took a really long path to get here.
Yeah.
So sometimes it can be confusing trying to figure it out all by yourself. So feel free. Do not be afraid to reach out to someone. The most they can say is, well, maybe I can't. I can put you onto someone else. And really allow persons' experiences, that lived experience is invaluable. Okay. Allow that lived experience to really inform you and guide you. Yeah.
All right, no problem.
Yeah, so as we wrap up this conversation, is there a favorite quote or joke that you can share with us before you go out?
This is easier because usually she gives people a word. I'm actually in shock right now. It's not one word. Yes, give us a quote.
Can change it up a little bit.
No. Give us a quote or a joke.
And I'm here like, quote or joke.
Yeah, get through. Because we will lean back, Kusha. Yes, I'll be listening.
I'm back.
Funny enough, the word would have been easier for me, but okay.
You see?
You see?
But that's okay.
Okay, Kusha. You put me on the spot. All right, a quote. I will take it back to Hippocrates, who said that all disease begins in the gut. When you think about our gut health, how important it is, it's something that's often overlooked. But when you think about, the overall health of your body, we have to not just think about putting food in and what our muscles are going to look like and these things, but also understanding how important your gut health is. That's a topic for another podcast.
Yeah. Don't worry, you can call it back.
But yes.
Kush, I'll save your number.
Absolutely.
I'll save it too. After today.
So you see, I had a word, but okay. I hope
Tell us what. I don't want to keep it back.
The word I would say is resilience.
Boy, that's one of my favorite words, And it's like I like it, but I don't like it because, next 5 years I don't want to come out and say I'm still being resilient. Next 5 years I have to be comfortable.
Comfortable, but resilience from the perspective of, if this is what you want, you keep going at it regardless of the roadblocks that are coming to you.
Gotcha.
So, yeah.
No problem. Well, thank you very much for coming and sharing so much. We definitely will keep in touch, Kusha and I. And yeah, I really look forward to see the public interacting with this episode. I think it was quite edifying.
Yes.
And I'm excited to have everyone know that they could kind of take control of their diet and and be good.
Thank you so much, Amber, for being here. But that's, guys, you heard it right here at Conversation Inc. If you want to understand more about nutrition and dietitian, go check out Amber. You will learn a lot more. She is the cultural dietitian. Thank you, guys.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.